Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a mid-year planner update. So I'm going to talk about the planners and journals I'm currently using, how that's evolved since I filmed a planner lineup video back in December, which I'll be sure to link down in the description box below, which might be helpful if you want to see how my planning has evolved this year. But I'm definitely in planners and journals that I did not start out the year with. And so I thought it'd be fun to check in about what's been working, what hasn't been working, and also talk a little bit about what I'm thinking I'll use in 2024. Because today I'm filming this the last weekend in August, and it feels like we are right on the cusp of planner season as all of the new planner lineups come out and planners are released and people are thinking about their 2024 needs. And so I'm definitely in that headspace, and we'll be talking a bit about where I think I'm going with my planners and journals for next year. So if that sounds good, let's jump right in. So these are the planners and journals that I'm currently using. Depending on your planning style and your journaling style, this might seem like a lot, but I'm really only using 2 of these on a daily basis, my main planner and my work planner. The rest of these I'm updating either weekly or monthly, and with varying degrees of success. Some of these I have been more successful keeping up to date, others I'm behind on, but they all serve unique purposes, and I'm really enjoying using all of these notebooks and planners this year. But that said, let's jump into these 2, which are really my main planners, and then I'll briefly touch on the rest. So if you have been following along on my channel so far this year, you'll know that I started out the year in the Hobonichi Cousin. I've used the Hobonichi Cousin on and off since 2019, and I love this planner, but the one thing that I struggle with, like many people struggle with, are the daily pages. I am very consistent when I use the Hobonichi Cousin in using a day per page. Like, I think having the daily pages is really motivating for me in a way that is both good and bad. It's good in the sense that I'm really in this planner and I use a page per day, whether it's for journaling or writing down some list or to-do list. But the con of that is I always feel like I don't have enough notes pages. And during different seasons of life, I need more blank notes pages to plan out, a birthday party or some travel plans. Like, I just need more blank note pages than the Hobonichi Cousin affords, especially because for whatever reason, like the day per page is very motivating for me. And so I end up with very few blank daily pages in a way that's good because I'm keeping my journal up to date, but in a way that makes it feel less functional for me. And so I ended up moving into the B6 Common Planner in June as my main planner, and I have been using that ever since. I filmed a setup video where I also flipped through the first 2 months in this planner, which I will link down in the description box below, but I'll give a very brief overview of how I'm using it here. So I have the Common Planner in this cover from Gillio Firenze. This is in the Epoca purple. And this planner is a workhorse. I am using it as my planner and my journal, and I am using it for all of my planning except for some work tasks and work planning and deadlines that I keep separate in this separate notebook. So just to give, again, a brief overview, I am tracking lots of stuff in here. I'm tracking reading and habits. I use the monthly pages as a future log. Here I keep events, appointments, travel dates, birth dates. I have a running to-do list for the month that I start. I'll add stuff here well in advance if there's something I know I need to get done in August. And then the weekly pages I use both functionally and a bit of memory keeping. So I use the weekly pages to schedule out my week. I really love a vertical weekly so I could see what's going on in a given week, how much time I have, how busy are we. And then I use this column to have a running to-do list a personal to-do list for the week, just stuff I need to get done whenever during this week. And then at the end of every day, what I usually do is I rapid log my days. So I'll write, what I did that day, if anything notable happened, if my son said something funny, if we did something as a family. I will almost always jot that down here. So then when I have the time and I want to sit down and play with stationery and update my other journals, I'll just open this, and this will serve as inspiration and remind me of different stuff we were doing and stuff I might want to journal about. And then we have the blank pages. And the blank pages are just, it's my favorite. I love this planner. This has been working really well for me, and for whatever reason, again, having dated pages in the back felt really limiting to me with the Hobonichi Cousin, and I feel a lot more creative in this planner, and it's a lot more flexible for me in a way that I'm really loving. So in the back here, I have some collections and lists. I also daily plan. I journal. I try to journal every day here. I'm not always consistent, but for the most part I am. I'll also have other, like to-do list, for a project or a birthday party. We were traveling back in July, and I had, a packing list in here. I use this basically as I used to use my bullet journal when I was bullet journaling back in the day, and I'm really loving the return to this more flexible setup. So yeah, this is my main planner, my everything. When I'm traveling, I usually only take this. I also take this little guy, which I have been using as my wallet. I will talk about this setup in a couple of minutes, but these two are with me when I'm like on the go, if I'm out of the house, if I'm traveling. Like, this is always with me, and it has been very functional using it that way. I'm loving this setup, and I so far am planning to use this again in 2024. I've placed my pre-order with Sterling Ink. I couldn't decide whether I wanted the full year or the half year, so I picked up both. And I will decide at some point before 2023, or 2023 is over. The only other planner that has piqued my interest is the B6 Paper Test Designs yearly notebook. Ellie from Ellie's Corner has a great flip through of her setup in that planner, and it was the first time that planner was really introduced to me, and now I'm super curious about it, and I'll be sure to link the video from Ellie's Corner down below. But that's the only planner that I'm playing around with the idea of using in 2024, but I'm pretty sure I'll end up in the B6 Common Planner again. The next planner I use very frequently is my work planner. So I have my work planner, which is an A5 Hobonichi Day Free. And if you're unfamiliar with the Day Free, you have just monthly pages, and then about, I think it's 170 notes pages in the back. 170? Now I'm gonna check because it's gonna bother me. Yeah, 170 blank grid pages here in the back. And so I have this in a cover from Spek. This is the Janet Leather Black. I picked this up last year in one of their, I forget what it was called, but she did a sale where she fulfilled the orders within a week, and I was very excited because I've been wanting a planner cover from Spek, but I just didn't want to buy something and wait 3 months to get it, even though that, it's perfectly reasonable, especially because it's custom, to have long wait times. But I was really excited to pick this up when she had that sale. But anyway, I have my A5 Day Free in here. And I should say before I talk about the setup that I do a lot of my work planning digitally. I still like having a paper planner to use for a couple of things. Like, I need to sort of sketch out some timelines or take some notes. I also very much love having like a daily work to-do list that's not digital, so I can close out of different apps and really try to focus, on what I'm doing and the task at hand. But a lot of it is in Notion. I'm planning on filming a setup of my Notion in the next couple of weeks, maybe the next couple of months. I have to figure out some things about how to do it, but I'm excited to share with you all how I digitally plan for work. And I should say, if you're new here, in terms of work, I am a PhD researcher. I do education policy research. And so I'm reading, writing, and researching, working on, big research projects related to different topics in US education policy. And so with this planner, how I'm using the A5 day free, I use the monthlies to capture deadlines. I also try to plan out what I want to work on in a given week. I have a lot of flexibility in my job and a lot of different projects going on at the same time. And so here I try to sketch out what I will be working on when. And then in the blank notes pages, I have some collections that I like to keep, even though, again, a lot of the collections are digital. So what I mean when I say that is I like to capture things on paper to avoid having to open up another app or get distracted by my phone or the computer. And so I like to have a way to capture things on paper that eventually I will migrate to my digital planner in Notion. So, when I'm done with this notebook and I'm transitioning to a 2024 A5 day free, which I'm planning to do right now, this setup is working really well for me. I will migrate that information not to my next paper planner, but to my Notion. So then it's captured there in the long term. And those collections, when I set them up in my next year's planner, will again just serve as a place to capture certain things. So I have a collection with research ideas that I have tabbed off here. I also have a collection for reading recommendations. So when I'm reading something or going to a seminar or talk and somebody mentions a book I want to read, I'll write it down here. My plan is to write it down here and then write down just high level, what it's about and why it piqued my interest. And then this will get transferred or migrated to my reading list for my research in Notion. And then I mostly use these blank pages for this type of weekly planning. So I have in my Notion a long weekly to-do list, and that's where I organize a lot of I do a lot of project and task management in Notion. But I like to see very concretely what are the tasks I need to get done on a given day. And I also like to see what are my priorities that week and track how much time I spend on writing. And so every week I set this up and then I just fill it out. I fill it up as the week goes on. So I would only on Monday, if I was starting this, write this, and then I would write Monday, my to-dos, and then Tuesday I'd start the next day. And I usually only need 2 pages per week. And then in the back, I have this A5 supplement notebook from Hobonichi. And I'm planning to put stuff in here that I would want to carry over from year to year. If I'm thinking about this setup, as I'll have a similar setup for 2024. And there will be, again, stuff that just gets migrated into Notion. But again, there's stuff I like to see on paper. And so that's what I'm thinking will go in here. Right now, the only collection I've set up is this research pipeline tracker. Here I'm tracking my different research projects on sticky notes and where they are in the pipeline from idea to it's a published manuscript. And I like having just this overview so I can remember all of the stuff that I should be working on or the stuff I should be writing and getting to the point where I can submit it to a journal. So that's my work planner. This setup has been working really well for me and I've been really enjoying it. So those are my 2 planners. Now let's talk about all of the other journals that I am, again, updating with varying levels of success, or keeping updated with varying levels of success. So the first one I'll mention is my reading journal. I also filmed a setup for this journal, which I'll link down below. My reading journal, this is an 8x8 notebook from Archer and Olive. I had it sitting on my desk with a leather notebook, like a leather notebook cover on top of it, and I think that's what transferred here. I am trying my best not to let this bother me, but it is irritating me, and I think I might like try to pick up some stickers and cover this up in some way, but that's all an aside. This is my reading journal. It's a very simple setup where I am trying to capture different lists of books I want to read. Let's see if I'm in frame. Tracking different like reading projects. So one of my reading projects is reading the greats. I feel like there's a lot of literature that I haven't read yet, or I haven't read in a long time. Like I read it in high school once and I don't have that good of a memory of it. And so this is one reading project that I'm trying to track, my progress through. And this is, I haven't kept these up to date or filled these out as much as I wanted to. And again, a lot of my reading tracking I'm doing digitally, either in Notion or in Goodreads. And so I'm not that like stressed about keeping this up to date, although I would like for it to be more updated than it is. And I'm actually planning this evening to spend some time with my reading journal. And then I also have in here some trackers for 2023. So here I'm tracking the books I read and my ratings of them. I'm also tracking how my progress against my goal of reading 50 books this year. Here, this isn't up to date. A lot of the spreads in here aren't up to date. I haven't updated this in at least 6 weeks, if not more. But that said, I try to update this once a month, and I am tracking everything digitally, and I'm tracking a lot of reading in the Common Planner, and so I'm not that stressed about this not being that up to date. I, sit down with this when I catch the time, and it's fun to play with when I have the time, but I'm not very, again, stressed about not finishing, or not keeping these spreads super up to date. But I am hoping to keep it relatively up to date. So I have this log of what I read in 2023. And then my plan is, when 2024 comes along, I will just turn to the next blank page, make a cover page for 2024, and then continue to use this planner for, as long as it lasts, especially because I have some of these collections that I'm sure will take me multiple years to work through. So I'm planning, for here, for example, to put list of books I need to read for my different research areas. And I won't be able to get through these books in 2023. And so having some of these collections in a notebook that I'm sure will span multiple years, I think will be very functional for me in terms of this reading journal. So that's my reading journal that I try to keep up to date once a month. And I've been doing okay on that. The other journal that I have been very good about keeping up to date with is my family memory keeping journal. So this journal I try to update like once a week, I would say, and I have been pretty consistent since I started this back in June, I want to say. Yeah, I started this in June. So this is a Travelers Company cover. This is the olive from, I think I picked up mine from Baumkuchen, but I love the olive cover. These charms are from Baumkuchen, a shop in LA that I used to live near, and I'm so sad I don't anymore. And then in here I have the, I can't remember how many pages this is, but this is the half year or half size of the Sterling Ink notebook in the standard Traveler's notebook size. But this I am using as a place to do family memory keeping. So prior to using the Common Planner, again, I was using the Hobonichi Cousin, and I had integrated this memory planning into the Hobonichi Cousin. So I was printing out lots of pictures, and what I was trying to do for a while was once a week have like a family memory keeping spread with highlights and again pictures printed out. And I really like that, but I also like the idea of separating that out so I have something that is more family oriented. Like if I want to flip through this with my son when he gets older, like I picture us sitting down and, you know, he's wants to see pictures of himself when he was little. I love the idea of coming back to some of these journals, and I feel like I would come back to them more with my family if the memory keeping wasn't integrated into my planner. And I wanted to separate this out because adding pictures really does bulk up a notebook. And since I was using the full year common planner, I didn't want to bulk it up. And so I also wanted to separate out memory keeping for that reason. And so this journal, I'm just printing pictures. I try to, again, update this once a week, jotting down notes to, you know, talk about what we did here, what the picture represents, just expand on sort of the memories that I'm capturing with the picture. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how this evolves. This has been really fun to work on and play with. And I'm imagining that this notebook will get very chunky, and I can't wait to, you know, have a chunky notebook to flip through with my family. I am planning to just continue using this same notebook in 2024, since I'm sure I won't finish all these pages this year. So I will, you know, have a 2024 cover page, maybe some 2023 recap pages, and then just continue using this notebook until I run out of paper. I don't want to have something dated, because that dated stresses me out, I realized, or dated really encourages me to keep things up to date, which then turns into stress when I'm unable to keep things up to date. And then I also end up with, like, you know, blank spreads that I don't love. And so I like having this undated notebook to keep up to date as much as I can. So this has been working out really well. Again, updating this weekly. Love this. It's my family memory keeper. And then the last few journals I keep up to date the least frequently. So this is the 5-year Hobonichi Techo, which I started in 2021. So 2021 was the year my son was born. He is my only child. And so when he was born, I was in this headspace of really wanting to capture every moment and to remember the good and the bad. But I really wanted to do more like memory keeping around my family. And so I started this as a family memory keeper. And I have kind of fallen off on updating this. I have not kind of fallen off, I've really fallen off on keeping this up to date. And I think that's in large part because I am doing memory keeping for family related stuff in this traveler's notebook. And so I haven't quite figured out, like, it feels redundant when I update both, but I also really love the 5-year journal. And on the days where I've journaled multiple days, I just love like reading through what we were doing 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and this year. So yeah, I'm trying to get back into the flow of updating this. And the idea with updating this is, you know, it's no frills, there's no pictures, there's no setup. It's just recording what our days look like. What did we do? Did anything special happen? On days that something special happened, I'll write more, but really just trying to record our lives and having this be a very simple record of what we were doing on different days. And so I'm really trying to get back into the flow with this, and I'm hopeful that I will be able to, and I'm excited to see how it continues to fill up over the next 2 years. And then the last two are journals that I'm barely keeping up to date, and one that's not really a journal, but I thought I'd include it here anyway. So this is a blank A6 notebook from Hobonichi, And this I'm using as an ink journal. So if you saw a couple of months ago, I filmed a what's in my pen case video where I talked about some of my favorite fountain pens. I've recently gotten really into fountain pens and fountain pen inks, and it's a lot of fun. And so of course, going down that rabbit hole led me want to start an art, not an art journal, an ink journal, which was very fun to set up. I love being able to reference this when I'm trying to decide, you know, what inks I want to fill up a pen with, what inks, and also when I'm trying to remember what inks I still have. And so the way I've set this up is I swatched in the beginning here all of the ink samples I have, and then here I swatched all of the ink bottles I have. I was planning on doing a much more kind of in-depth or thorough setup with this ink journal where I would have a currently inked every month and reflections on how different pens performed on with different inks. This was all very much inspired by Karina Loves to Plan. I love her YouTube channel, and I got a lot of inspiration on this ink journal setup from her, but I also was way too ambitious and have not like updated it past then. Here I was planning to list out all of the fountain pens I have and swatch different whenever I refilled them with different inks. I might jump back. I'm probably going to jump back into this. I say I might. I'm sure I will at some point. And I'll just continue using this until it's filled up. Like it's undated. Again, you know, if we get to 2024 and there's still room in this notebook, which I'm sure there will be, I'll just create another cover page and keep writing in here and using this as an ink journal because I don't want to waste the paper, and because, you know, the ink journal setup is not something I feel like I need to update frequently, but it's something that I would like to update. And so I like having you know, a notebook I can jump into when I'm so inspired. And so the last notebook I have in my lineup is my wallet. So this is a traveler's notebook from Traveler's Company. This is in the passport size. And in here I have this this yellow canvas insert, wallet insert. Can't remember the name of this, but I will also link it down below. I'm not sure if it's still available, if you can find it easily, but this is from Traveler's Company. Here I keep my cards and I keep some cash in here. And then I have this folder where I keep some receipts and, you know, anything else like that I might want to keep in a wallet. And then the notebooks, in terms of the notebooks I have in here, I have just added the monthly notebook from Traveler's Company. You can pick one of these up, dated or undated, and this is the dated version for 2023. And I like just having this. I don't really keep it up to date. I will update it occasionally when I'm so inspired. But I like having a monthly planner to flip to. Again, I'm like really in this headspace of trying to not pick up my phone as much. And I like having something paper that I can reach to quickly jot things down or reference versus opening up my phone and getting distracted. And so when I'm on the go, like if I have a small bag, I'm just bringing this. I'm not bringing the B6 Common Planner. But, you know, that means I always have a calendar with me, and I really like that. So I can reference this versus opening my phone. And then this is just a blank notebook, the blank dot grid insert. And here I just use this to jot down, you know, anything I need to, a grocery list or a reminder. Again, if I'm out and I'm trying not to reach for my phone, but I want to write something down, I go to this insert. I think of this almost like an inbox. You know, I'll write stuff down in here, and then whatever I write down gets transferred somewhere else. Like I'm not doing planning in here. It's really just a notebook I'm using to capture things that come to mind when I'm out of the house or I don't have my other planners with me, and this is all I have. So that's my wallet setup. Not really a planner, but kind of, I don't know. I was debating whether to include it, but thought it but thought I'd include it anyway. So that is my planner lineup. It has been really fun talking through how everything has changed so far this year. I would love to hear from you all what you're planning on using in 2024, how your lineups have changed. And if you've hung out with me this long, thank you for spending your time with me. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you next time. Bye now.